First up, the 2011 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark struck in Philadelphia. This coin belongs to the modern era of United States coinage, but it still holds interest for collectors and beginners. The Jefferson nickel design represents Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, and his home, Monticello. This design has been part of American history for many decades and continues to appear on modern nickels. The 2011 Jefferson nickel was produced in very large numbers for everyday circulation. Because of this high production, it is not considered a rare coin. However, condition always plays an important role in determining value. When a coin survives an extra fine condition, it means it shows only light wear and still keeps most of its original details. In extra fine condition, the portrait of Jefferson remains clear and sharp, with only minor wear on the highest points. The hair details are still visible, and the overall surface looks clean and attractive. On the reverse side, the Monticello building can be easily identified, and the structure remains strong without heavy flattening. This makes the coin more appealing than heavily worn circulated examples. Now let us talk about the value of the 2011 P. Jefferson nickel in today's market. In extra fine condition, this coin is worth more than face value, but it does not reach high prices because it is a common modern date. In most cases, a 2011 P. Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition is valued between $3 and $6, depending on eye appeal and overall preservation. If the coin has fewer scratches, a brighter surface, and better detail, it may reach the higher end of this range. If it shows more contact marks or a dull appearance, the value usually stays closer to the lower end. Even so, it is still considered a collectible example rather than just pocket change. The reason this coin does not carry a high premium is because millions were produced and many examples still exist today. Modern coins usually need either exceptional condition or a special feature to become valuable in circulated grades. Without those factors, prices remain modest. Sometimes, coins from this year can be found with minting errors, such as off-center strikes or unusual marks. When that happens, the value can increase significantly, but these are rare cases and do not apply to normal extra-fine coins. When compared to uncirculated or mint-state examples, the value difference becomes clear. Higher-grade coins bring stronger prices, while extra-fine represents a balanced grade that shows history of circulation while still preserving detail. In conclusion, the 2011 P. Jefferson nickel in extra-fine condition is a solid modern collectible. It's affordable, easy to find, and useful for learning about coin grading and market values in today's market. Its realistic value remains around $3 to $6, depending on condition and demand, making it a good addition for beginner collectors and modern coin enthusiasts.
The Washington quarter dated 1991 with the D mint mark. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint and was made for everyday circulation. Many people call it a silver quarter because of its color and appearance, but it is important to understand that quarters from 1991 were not made of silver. They are copper nickel-clad coins. However, they still carry collector interest, especially when people start learning about modern United States coins and their values. The Washington quarter design is one of the most recognizable designs in American coin history. George Washington appears on the obverse as a symbol of leadership and independence, while the reverse shows the eagle, which represents strength and freedom. By 1991, this design had already been in use for decades, and millions of people handled these coins in daily transactions. The 1991 D Washington quarter was produced in very large quantities, which makes it a common date coin. Because of this, the value depends heavily on condition and collector demand. When a coin is described as being in good condition, it means that it has seen heavy circulation. The main details are still visible, but there is clear wear across the surface. Washington's hair and facial details are worn down, and the eagle on the reverse appears flat in several areas. Even in good condition, the date and mint mark are usually readable, which is important for identification. Collectors often use good condition coins as affordable examples to complete date and mint mark sets, especially beginners who are just entering the hobby. Now let us talk about the value of the 1991 D Washington quarter in today's market, in good condition. Because this is a common modern coin and not made of silver, its value is generally close to face value. Most examples in good condition are worth around 25 cents to about 50 cents, depending on demand and overall appearance. Some buyers may pay slightly more if the coin has even wear and no major damage. It is important to note that this coin does not reach high prices unless it is in much higher condition, such as uncirculated, or unless it has a noticeable minting error. In normal, good circulated condition, it is mainly valued as a collectible example rather than an investment coin. Sometimes people confuse modern Washington quarters with older silver quarters. Quarters dated 1964 and earlier were made of 90% silver and carry much higher intrinsic value. The 1991 quarter does not fall into that category, but it still holds educational value and collector interest. Errors can change everything. If a 1991 D quarter has a strong minting error, such as an off-center strike, double die, or other unusual feature, the value can increase significantly. But these are rare and not typical for standard good condition coins. For collectors who enjoy building full date runs or mint mark collections, the 1991 D Washington quarter is an easy and affordable piece to add. It represents the modern era of coinage and shows how condition and composition affect value. In conclusion, the 1991 D Washington quarter dollar in good condition is a common but meaningful coin. It may not be made of silver, and it may not be rare, but it plays an important role in understanding modern coin values in today's market. Its realistic value remains around 25 cents to 50 cents, depending on condition and interest, making it a simple but useful collectible for beginners and casual collectors alike.
Next up, the 2014 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark, which was struck for circulation and is still commonly found in everyday change. This coin is part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series that has been in use since 1938, and it represents Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, along with his historic home, Monticello. The design is familiar to most people, yet every year and mint mark has its own place in coin collecting. The 2014 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark was produced in large numbers and released into circulation where it was used in daily transactions. Because of this high production, the coin is not considered rare. However, collectors still pay attention to condition, mint mark, and overall appearance when determining value. When we describe this coin as being in good condition, it means the coin shows noticeable wear from circulation. The major details are visible, but they are worn smooth in many areas. Jefferson portrait is still recognizable, but fine details like hairlines and facial features are mostly worn down. On the reverse side, Monticello is visible, but many of the smaller design elements are faded. This level of wear is very common for coins that have been in circulation for several years. Even though good condition is a lower circulated grade, it still holds some interest for collectors, especially beginners or those completing date and mint mark sets. Modern coins in good condition help collectors understand grading and how circulation affects value over time. Now, let us talk about the value of the 2014 D Jefferson nickel in today's market in good condition. Because this is a modern, common date coin, its value remains close to face value in most cases. A 2014 D Jefferson nickel in good condition is typically valued between 10 cents and 50 cents. Some examples may sell for up to $1 depending on demand and presentation, but higher prices are uncommon for this grade. The reason the value stays low is simple. Millions of these coins were made, and many are still available today. Collectors usually prefer higher grades or special varieties when it comes to modern nickels. Coins in good condition do not carry strong premiums unless there is something unusual about them. Special cases, such as minting errors, can increase value significantly, but a normal 2014 D Jefferson nickel in good condition without errors does not fall into the high-value category. It remains a representative example of modern circulation coinage rather than an investment piece. When comparing good condition coins to extra fine or uncirculated examples, the value difference becomes clear. Higher grade coins show more detail and eye appeal, which collectors are willing to pay for.
Good condition coins are more about history and everyday use rather than visual perfection. In conclusion, the 2014 D. Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark in good condition is a common modern coin with modest value in today's market. Its realistic value generally ranges from about 10 cents up to $1, depending on condition and buyer interest. While it may not be highly valuable, it still plays an important role in understanding coin collecting and represents a piece of modern American history that many people have handled and used. Next up, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint and is part of the long-running Washington quarter series, which began in 1932. This design honors George Washington, the first president of the United States, and it has remained one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The obverse shows Washington's profile, while the reverse features the eagle design that was still used during this period. Many people often refer to older Washington quarters as silver quarters, but it is important to understand that by 1982, the Washington quarter was no longer made of silver. Instead, it was produced using a copper nickel-clad composition with a copper core and outer layers of nickel. This change had already taken place many years earlier. However, the name silver quarter is still commonly used by the public out of habit. The year 1982 is interesting for collectors because during this year, mint sets were not officially produced. This caused some collectors to save coins directly from circulation, which adds a small level of interest to the date, even though the overall mintage was still very high. The Denver Mint produced millions of these quarters for everyday use. Now, let us focus on the condition described, which is dirty condition. A dirty coin usually means the surface is covered with dark toning, grime, or environmental buildup. This can happen from long-time circulation, improper storage, or exposure to moisture. Dirt does not always mean damage, but it does reduce eye appeal and collector demand unless the coin has another special feature. In dirty condition, the 1982 D Washington quarter will show visible wear on Washington's hair and facial details. The fields may look dull and dark, and the eagle on the reverse may appear flat in some areas. Important design details are still present, but they are not sharp. This level of preservation places the coin in a lower circulated category. Now, let us talk about the value of this coin in today's market. A 1982 D Washington quarter in dirty circulated condition does not carry a high premium because it is a common date and was made in large quantities. In most cases, its value is only slightly above face value. In the current market, a dirty circulated example is typically worth around $1 to $3, depending on how heavy the wear and dirt are. If the coin is extremely worn or damaged, the value may stay closer to $1. If it still has readable details and slightly better appearance, it may reach the higher end of this range. Collectors usually prefer cleaner coins, so dirt and heavy discoloration reduce the price unless the coin is cleaned properly, which itself can be risky and may lower value further if done incorrectly. This coin becomes more valuable only when found in higher grades or with a clear minting error. Errors such as off-center strikes, doubled details, or unusual planchet issues can raise the value significantly, but those cases are rare and do not apply to normal, dirty, circulated examples. When compared to uncirculated coins from this year, the value difference is clear. Cleaner and sharper coins bring more money, while dirty, circulated coins are mostly collected by beginners or people completing date and mint mark sets. In conclusion, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark in dirty condition is not a high-value coin, but it still has collectible interest as part of American coin history. In today's market, its realistic value generally falls between $1 and $3, depending on overall wear and appearance. It's a good example for learning how condition affects value and why preservation matters in coin collecting. If you want, I can also write a clean YouTube title, description, and tags for this coin without any company names. Just tell me.
Next up, the 2020 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. This coin comes from the modern period of United States coinage, and it represents a continuation of a long-running design that first appeared many decades ago. The Jefferson nickel features Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, and on the reverse side, it shows Monticello, his historic home. This design connects modern coins with American history and makes even new nickels interesting for collectors. The 2020 P. Jefferson nickel was produced in very large numbers for circulation. This was a year when many coins entered everyday use and were handled frequently. Because of this, it is very common to find these coins in worn or dirty condition. A dirty condition usually means the coin has surface discoloration, buildup of grime, or dark toning caused by circulation and storage. This type of condition does not mean the coin is fake or damaged. It only means it was used in daily transactions. When a 2020 P. Jefferson nickel is found in dirty circulated condition, the details of Jefferson face are still usually visible, but the surface may look dull or dark. The high points on the portrait may show wear, and the fields may not reflect light well. On the reverse side, the Monticello building can still be recognized, but the steps and fine lines may be weak or partially covered by dirt. Now let us talk about value. In today's market, the 2020 P. Jefferson nickel in dirty, circulated condition is generally worth very close to face value because it's a modern coin with a very high mintage. In most cases, collectors do not pay high premiums for dirty, circulated examples of common modern nickels. In realistic market terms, a 2020 P. Jefferson nickel in dirty condition is usually valued around $1, or sometimes slightly less or slightly more, depending on overall wear and appearance. Many examples are still valued at just 5 cents because they're easy to find and there's no shortage of supply. This makes the coin common rather than rare. The value remains low because millions of these coins were made and many are still in circulation. Modern coins need something special to become valuable, such as extremely high grade, strong visual appeal, or a noticeable minting error. Without these features, the market value stays modest. Sometimes collectors search through 2020 nickels looking for errors such as off-center strikes, double details, or unusual marks. If a genuine error is found, the value can increase greatly, but this does not apply to normal dirty circulated coins. A regular dirty circulated coin does not fall into the error category. For beginner collectors, this coin still has educational value. It helps new collectors learn how condition affects price and why modern circulation coins usually do not bring high values. It also shows how cleanliness and preservation can impact collectability, even when a coin is not old. In conclusion, the 2020 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark in dirty condition is a common modern coin in today's market. Its value usually stays around face value, and in some cases up to about $1. It is not considered rare or highly valuable, but it is still part of American coin history and a good example for learning about grading, circulation, and coin values. Next up, the 1974 Washington quarter dollar, without mint mark, struck for circulation. This coin belongs to the long-running Washington quarter series that began in 1932 and honors George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design is familiar to almost everyone, with Washington portrait on the front and the eagle on the back, which was still used during this time period. Many people search for 1974 quarters believing they are silver, but it is important to understand the history. By 1974, regular circulating Washington quarters were no longer made of silver. Instead, they were produced using a copper-nickel-clad composition. However, collectors still show interest in these coins because of history, condition, and demand in the collector's market. The 1974 Washington quarter without mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and large numbers were released into everyday circulation. Because of this, the coin is not considered rare, but it still has collector value depending on condition and overall appearance. When found in circulated condition, the coin shows clear signs of use, such as wear on Washington hair and flattening on the eagle feathers, but major details are still visible. A circulated 1974 Washington quarter tells a story of everyday use. It passed through many hands and survived decades of circulation. Collectors often keep these coins as part of date sets or as examples of classic American coinage, even though they are not rare high-grade pieces. Now let us talk about the value of the 1974 Washington quarter dollar without mint mark in circulated condition in today's market. Since this coin is a common date and not made of silver, its value remains modest. In most cases, a circulated example is worth between $1 and $5, depending on condition, eye appeal, and collector demand. Coins with heavier wear usually stay closer to the lower end, while cleaner, circulated coins may reach the higher end. The value does not increase significantly unless the coin has a noticeable minting error, such as an off-center strike, doubled design, or unusual planchet issue error.
Coins from this year can sometimes sell for much higher prices, but normal circulated coins do not fall into that category. Many people keep these quarters hoping they will rise in value over time. While dramatic increases are unlikely, they still hold steady collector interest and are popular among beginner collectors learning about grading, circulation wear, and coin history. When compared to earlier Washington quarters made of silver before 1965, the difference in value becomes clear. Silver issues carry higher premiums, while later clad issues rely mostly on collector demand rather than metal content. In conclusion, the 1974 Washington quarter dollar without mint mark in circulated condition is a common but respectable collectible. It represents an important period in modern coinage history and remains affordable for collectors in today's market. Its realistic value stays around $1 to $5 depending on condition and interest, making it a suitable coin for beginners and educational collections.
Next up, the 2007 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark, which was struck for circulation and later ended up in everyday use. This coin is part of the modern Jefferson nickel series that continues to honor Thomas Jefferson, one of the most important figures in United States history. His portrait on the front and his home, Monticello, on the back connect this small 5-cent coin into a long tradition of American coinage. The 2007 P. Jefferson nickel was produced in very large quantities and was meant to be used in daily transactions. Because of this high production, most examples entered circulation immediately and experienced heavy handling over the years. Many of these coins today are found in worn, dirty, or damaged condition, which is very common for modern nickels. When we describe a 2007 P. Jefferson nickel as being in full dirty condition, it means the coin shows heavy signs of circulation. The surfaces may appear dark, stained, or dull due to dirt, oil, and long-term handling. Details on Jefferson face may look soft and flat, and the Monticello building on the reverse may not be very sharp. This condition does not appeal to advanced collectors, but it still has a place in basic collections. Dirty condition does affect the value of a coin significantly. Collectors usually prefer cleaner and better preserved examples. However, condition alone does not completely remove all value, especially when someone is building a date and mint mark set and needs that specific year. Now let us talk about the value of the 2007 P. Jefferson nickel in today's market. When the coin is in full, dirty, circulated condition, its value remains very close to face value in most situations. Such a coin is usually worth between $1 and $2 at most, sometimes even less depending on demand and appearance. It is not considered rare or highly valuable in this condition. The reason the value stays low is simple. Millions of these coins were made, and many are still available today. Modern coins without special features do not gain strong premiums when they are heavily worn or dirty. Collectors can easily find cleaner examples, so demand for dirty coins stays limited. However, there are exceptions. If a 2007 P. Jefferson nickel has a clear minting error, such as an off-center strike, unusual marks, or other noticeable defects, its value can increase even if the coin is dirty. But without such errors, the market price remains modest. For beginner collectors, this type of coin can still be useful. It helps in understanding how condition affects value and shows the difference between circulated and higher-grade coins. It also serves as an affordable way to complete a collection without spending much money. In conclusion, the 2007 P. Jefferson nickel in full dirty condition is not a high-value coin in today's market. Its realistic value usually stays around $1 to $2, depending on how dirty and worn it is. While it may not bring big money, it still represents a piece of modern coin history and is a good learning example for anyone interested in coin collecting. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you next time. Happy collecting. Next up, the story and value of a 1985 Washington quarter with the P mint mark in extra fine condition. This coin was struck in Philadelphia as part of the long-running Washington quarter series, which began in 1932. The design shows the first president of the United States on the obverse and a bald eagle on the reverse. This design became familiar to generations of Americans and has been part of daily life for decades. Even though the quarter is a common coin in circulation, it still has interest for collectors because each date and mint mark tells its own story.
The 1985p Washington quarter was produced in very large numbers, with over 775 million pieces struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This means the coin is not rare in most grades, and you can find them easily in pocket change, rolls, and old collections. The production of such high numbers was typical for that era, which focused on supplying enough coins for everyday commerce. But for those who enjoy collecting coins, even these common dates can hold value, especially when the coin remains in better condition. When we talk about extra fine condition, we are talking about a grade that sits above most circulated coins on the grading scale. This means the coin shows light, even wear on the high points of the design, but retains much of its detail. You can still see clear hairlines on Washington's portrait and distinct feathers on the eagle on the reverse. The surfaces are cleaner and sharper compared to heavily worn examples. This makes an extra fine coin more appealing to collectors than the usual worn quarters found in change. In the world of coin values, condition drives price. So even though the 1985p quarter is common, a well-preserved extra fine example definitely has value above its original face value. Washington quarters from the mid-1980s are clad coins made of copper nickel, and they do not have intrinsic silver value like the earlier silver coins struck before 1965. Because of this, their worth as metal is just slightly above 25 cents, but the collectible value for a preserved extra fine coin is different. Based on recent market pricing guides and actual sale listings for coins similar to the 1985p Washington quarter in extra fine condition, most of these coins trade for a modest premium above face value in today's market. Collectors and dealers generally consider an extra fine example to be worth around $2 to $5. This reflects the balance between the coin's common availability and the fact that it has pleasing condition compared to lower circulated grades. Because so many of these coins were made and many still exist, the extra fine grade does not command a very high price compared to scarce states from earlier years. For comparison, coins graded in mint state or uncirculated grades, where there's no wear at all, can be worth noticeably more. Coins certified in higher mint state grades, such as MS-65 or MS-66, often sell for significantly more and sometimes reach into the tens of dollars because they are much harder to find in that level of preservation. But for extra fine, the value remains modest. Coin collectors also look for special features or mint errors that can change the value dramatically. Some 1985p quarters with unusual minting errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or other striking anomalies, can sell for more than typical examples, and sometimes these error pieces attract strong collector interest. But these cases are rare, and they do not represent the usual market for an extra fine, ordinary strike. It is important to understand that the 1985p Washington quarter's value in extra fine condition is driven by collector demand and condition rather than rarity. Most collectors who focus on modern coins enjoy seeing how grading and preservation affect price, even for common dates, and this coin becomes a great example to start learning these principles. The history of the Washington quarter series and the way that condition impacts value makes this coin more interesting than just pocket change. In summary, the 1985p Washington quarter in extra fine condition is a collectible modern quarter that still carries value above its face amount because of its preserved state. In today's market, an extra fine example generally has a value in the few dollar range, reflecting both its condition and wide availability. For most collectors, this coin remains an affordable and instructive piece to own and study as part of a broader collection of United States quarters.
Next up, the 2007 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark, which was struck for circulation in the United States. This coin is part of the modern Jefferson nickel series, and while it is not extremely old, it still has interest among collectors, especially those who focus on condition and modern date coins. The Jefferson nickel features Thomas Jefferson on the front, a figure closely connected to American history and democratic values, and on the reverse, it shows Monticello, his historic home, which has appeared on nickels for many decades. The year 2007 was a normal production year with a very high number of coins made. This means the coin is not rare by mintage standards. However, coin collecting is not only about rarity, it is also about condition and preservation. When a 2007p Jefferson nickel survives in extra fine condition, it becomes more desirable than the average circulated coin found in pocket change.
Extra fine condition means the coin shows light wear from circulation, but still retains strong details. Jefferson facial features remain clear and well-defined, the hairlines are visible, and the overall surface looks balanced without heavy damage. On the reverse side, the Monticello building is sharp and easy to recognize, with only slight wear on the highest points. This level of preservation makes the coin attractive to collectors who prefer clean, circulated examples. Now let us focus on the value of the 2007 P. Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition in today's market. Because this is a common modern date, its value does not reach very high levels. However, it is still worth more than its face value. In most cases, a 2007 P. Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition is valued around $2 to $5, depending on overall appearance and demand. If the coin has a cleaner surface, minimal scratches, and strong remaining detail, it may reach the upper end of this value range. Coins with more visible handling marks or dull surfaces usually trade closer to the lower end. Even at the lower end, it is still considered a collectible coin, rather than just everyday change. The reason the value remains limited is the large number of coins produced, and the fact that many examples are still available today. Modern coins generally need special qualities to stand out, such as exceptional condition, unusual strike quality, or minting errors. Without these features, prices tend to stay modest. Occasionally, a 2007 Jefferson nickel may be found with an error such as an off-center strike or other minting irregularity. In those cases, the value can increase significantly, but these are uncommon and do not apply to standard extra fine coins. When comparing extra fine coins to uncirculated examples, the difference in value becomes clear. Uncirculated coins bring higher prices because they show no wear, while extra fine coins represent a balance between circulation history and preserved detail. Many collectors enjoy this grade because it reflects real use while still looking attractive. In conclusion, the 2007 P. Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition is a simple but respectable modern collectible. It's affordable, widely available, and ideal for collectors who are learning about grading and market value in today's market. Its realistic value remains between $2 and $5, depending on condition and collector interest, making it a good example of how modern coins can still hold value beyond face value. Next up, the 1979 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark in good condition. This coin is part of a long series that began in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. This design has been a staple in American pockets and collections for decades. The coin you are holding was struck in an era before the state quarters and before the modern collector boom, which makes it interesting to many people who enjoy coins from everyday circulation. The Washington quarter features the profile of George Washington on the adverse and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. The absence of a mint mark on your 1979 quarter means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This was a time when coins did not always carry a mint mark, and maybe coins entered circulation without one. The metal composition of this quarter is copper and nickel clad over a pure copper core, which gives it a slightly different feel compared to older silver quarters that were minted before 1965. Your coin is described as being in good condition. In numismatic terms, a good grade means the coin has seen wear from circulation, but the main design elements are still visible. The date and lettering remain readable, and the outline of Washington and the eagle can still be distinguished, although much of the finer detail has been worn smooth by decades of use before becoming part of a collection. When it comes to value, the 1979 Washington quarter without mint mark in good condition is modest, but still of interest to collectors, especially those building sets of Washington quarters or modern coins in specific grades. In today's market, most examples in this grade sell for a small premium above face value because they're collectible and no longer used in everyday transactions. While quarters remain common, the coin market pays attention to condition and demand for specific dates and grades. A 1979 quarter in good condition typically trades in a value range that reflects its status as a common collectible example but not a rare high-grade specimen. Coins in good grade are often priced between $3 and $8, depending on the seller, the coin market, and specific detail of the coin, such as eye appeal and how well the design elements remain visible. Some coins may attract slightly higher interest if they have attractive surfaces or exceptional wear patterns that still show a pleasing look to collectors. It is important to understand that the 1979 Washington quarter without a mint mark is not rare in terms of how many were made. Millions of these coins were struck, making it easy to find examples in all grades, from poor condition to uncirculated condition. However, collectors who seek to complete date and grade sets often need multiples of the same date, so demand for good condition examples can keep values slightly above face value, while the most sought-after coins in the series are typically older issues or those with unique errors. Speaking of errors, coins with unusual characteristics such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws can draw strong interest from numismatists and can sell for significantly more than typical circulated pieces. Such error coins are rare and must be examined carefully by someone experienced in coin collecting to determine if the unusual features are genuine and significant. While a 1979 Washington quarter in good condition will not reach the high dollar values seen in rare classics from early American history, it still represents an important part of the modern series and is a coin that many collectors enjoy owning. It's affordable, it tells a story of everyday American currency, and it provides a way to learn about grading and market values without a large investment. In conclusion, the 1979 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark in good condition is a collectible coin that carries a modest value in today's market. Its worth reflects its common nature, condition, and the interest collectors place on assembled sets. Its typical market value remains in a range that makes it accessible to beginners and seasoned collectors alike. Understanding coins like this helps build knowledge of the broader world of coin collecting and appreciation for the history that each piece represents. As you continue your journey through numismatics, coins like this 1979 quarter offer a connection to past decades and a foundation for learning about value and condition in the coin hobby. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you next time. Happy collecting!